What a story, dude. So many Suns players. Deandre Ayton became a great two-way player. Cameron Payne going from playing a cup of coffee in China, looking like he's out of the NBA, to starting in the playoffs and place of Chris Paul in the Western Conference Finals and dropping 29. Oh, my God. The Ayton lob to go for the go-ahead points. Just what a perfect cherry on top for Deandre Ayton for an unbelievable performance. 24 points on 12 of 15, 14 rebounds, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 assist. He had, I mean, the block that he had when then he followed it up on the other end, hustled up the floor, got an offensive rebound, tipped it to Mikal Bridges for a layup.
Yep.
I mean, this guy, what a story. What a story.
Well, in a year where Luka Doncic looks like one of the top 5 players in the NBA, Trae Young is appearing in an Eastern Conference Finals, right? Here's this guy that went number 1, and he's not playing second fiddle. ESPN Sports and Info, as we are recording this late Tuesday night, just put up Deandre Ayton is the first player in the shot clock era, so that's since 54-55 that season, with a 70+% field goal percentage in any 12-game postseason span. That's incredible.
That's wild.
That's incredible. I mean, he's 70%, and they just ran here on the TV, because I've still got some of the post-game stuff on. They just ran the audio from the huddle. This is great. The audio from the huddle, and you hear Monty Williams go, DA, if he throws it up, you got to try to dunk it. And, of course, now we know how that play played out. Unbelievable winning play by Jay Crowder.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an incredible pass from the angle to put it right there. And then, of course, Ayton was jumping off a pogo stick, and he's able to put it in.
Oftentimes when we talk about like great shots or great, dunks, we don't talk about the pass. That was a great on-target pass by Jerry Crowder. Just perfectly where only Deandre Ayton could catch it above Zubats. I mean, everything was perfect there. And it was such
how about at least for Van Gundy and Mark Jackson, they knew the rules.
Yeah, they did.
How about nobody on the court seemingly knowing the rules? Like no Clipper had any idea. They're all like, "That's a goaltend. It's in the cylinder." Like, what is going on here?
Man, dude.
And what you end up forgetting through, because that last, couple minutes of the game took forever, and there were so many huge plays. The story of the night up until all of this happened was Cam Payne.
Cam Payne, man. 29 points. Oh, my God. What a story, dude. So many Suns players. Deandre Ayton became a great two-way player. Cameron Payne going from playing a cup of coffee in China, looking like he's out of the NBA, to starting in the playoffs and place of Chris Paul in the Western Conference Finals and dropping 29. Oh, my God.
And that is the most points Cameron Payne has ever scored in an NBA game.
Wow.
So, I mean,
it's
not just like he got to play, in place of Chris Paul. He got to play and had the best scoring night of his career.
And by the way, also very Chris Paul-esque, 9 assists to 0 turnovers. That has to also be the most assists he's had with 0 turnovers in his career. Has to be. I haven't looked it up. Don't think I need to, judging how the start of his career went. Like, this Suns team is full of so many great stories.
Well, and here's the crazy thing, Kev, is because one of the things we always talk about is sometimes when guys are out, it is less about the actual guy that's out and more about how big is the drop off to the replacement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, totally.
And sometimes even if it's just like an average guy, if you don't have somebody that can step in those shoes, and they had somebody fantastic that's not able to play for them in Chris Paul. And for this kid to step in and have the night that he has when given the opportunity to fill in for Chris Paul, you would think by any means there would be a huge drop-off from Chris Paul to Payne. And of course, the way that team functions is much better with Chris Paul. And they're eking out these wins against what is also a team that doesn't have Kawhi Leonard, its best player, playing for it. But Payne was great. I mean, he was given his opportunity, and he showed up big. And I cannot help but, as they now on the screen in front of me are running the Ayton replay over and over again, I cannot tell you how many tweets I've gotten during every Clippers game with people monitoring how many Zubac minutes since we talked about the bigger his
34 tonight,
and they never win when he's got big minutes. I mean, there's and then at the end of the first quarter, they do this Ty Lue interview, and Ty Lue's talking about how much he loved Zoo in the starting lineup and how he thought it gave him rim protection, whatever. And I'm like, what? First quarter did this dude just watch? Like, he's the coach of the team. Like, Phoenix scored 25 points in the first quarter. 20 of them were at the rim. 20 of them. I'm like, he just extolled the virtues of rim protection, and Deandre Ayton just looked like damn Wilt Chamberlain, and they're like dunking on this guy. They're straight line driving on them, and I'm like, they got small ball lineups. Maybe this is just going to be the mode of operation, Kev. The guy's got to lose 2 games playing Zubac, and then he'll get back to Terrence Mann and Luke Kennard. Luke Kennard almost saved their ass in the fourth quarter. He had, 10 or 12 in the fourth?
10, he had a really good second half.
He was good.
I mean, to your point here, Chris, like, we're not going to discount the Clippers. That would be silly to do. The big difference this time around is in those first 2 series, Kawhi Leonard was active. That's the big difference. But also, I would say this.
Well, and Terrence Mann was very active.
Yeah. Well,
when he wasn't.
And also this, Chris, the Clippers, have played, I think, 15 games in like 30 days, 31 days or something like that. Like, they've had a tough schedule. They had a quick turnaround from the game against Utah to game 1 against Phoenix. I mean, we've had 2 Western Conference Finals games and none in the East yet. We'll talk about that later. But, like, for the Clippers, like, they're a tough team. They're fighting through clearly like some fatigue here. Paul George was awful tonight, like 5 of 10 from the free throw line, 1 of 8 from 3. He choked at the end, missing those 2 free throws. I wonder how much of that is fatigue, playing over 40 minutes at the end of this real tough schedule here. But ultimately, though, like, fatigue and all that, everybody's tired. Everybody's dealing with something at this point. Not having Kawhi Leonard, like we doubted the Clippers in the first 2 rounds. I'm going to doubt him again here, and it's because they don't have Kawhi Leonard. I think that's a very reasonable thing to do, right? Well, and by the way, Chris Paul could be coming back for Game 3, was reported during the game.
Yeah, and Leonard, he's not even there, right? I never saw him.
He was back in L.A. rehabbing.
Yeah, I never saw him on the bench or anything. So, typically, if you can, if you're not, if we think you're going to be able to possibly play, it stands to reason you might possibly also be at the games.
Unless they knew there was no chance of the first 2 games and it wouldn't be back until they were in LA. And I at the time the injury happened, the next morning, like shortly before it was reported that it was an ACL injury, I was told by one source that it was a sprained ACL and that he was telling people he's out for the rest of the season. And, things can change, a week, of rehabbing, and we'll see what happens. But I do wonder if the Clippers look at their situation here and think, we got to give it a try. We have to give it a try in a must-win Game 3. I wonder if he's able to. I wonder how much work has been done. I hope for the Clippers he's able to get back because they sure as hell need that guy, man.
When I talked to a player about it, they told me 4 to 6 weeks.
If that is what the injury is, it very well could be.
When I'm saying when it was reported, I asked a player what they thought about it, and they said that. If it is what is reported, it typically takes a guy 4 to 6 weeks.
Absolutely, and in all likelihood, I can't see him playing.